What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down the top news, storylines, and highlights and stock reports of Eagles training camp. We're just a few days in, and to help me break it down, our co-host, he is Rob at Philly_Madness. What's going on, Rob?
Few days in, and it's already like you go on Twitter and people are passing judgments on the whole season, good and bad. So it's just like we do here. But nah, man, I'm excited. You know, it's great to see the Eagles back in the news. It's great to kind of see what some of these guys are doing at camp. And we'll get into it here tonight. It's a good time. It's a great night. I just got the number one pick in one of my fantasy drafts. Haven't had the number one pick in years. So now it's honestly, and I know people tell me I'm crazy, I got a debate on my hands right now.
I wish I could help you, bro. I'm not a fantasy football guy. I was a long time ago, and I was like addicted. I was straight up addicted to it in money leagues, and I just quit because it was too much. I was like just too encompassing.
That's my escape from three children is fantasy football.
Listen, I got a 2-year-old. I get it, man. I get it. Guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment. All that fun stuff. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get started here and jump into – obviously it starts and ends with Jalen Hurts. So far, Jalen Hurts' stock has been neutral so far through training camp here. Rob, what's your reaction to what we see from Jalen Hurts?
That's fine. Like I'm not getting too down, too up. For me – it's what Jalen does on Sundays that is going to be the decisive factor of how I feel about him. Like, what he does in this training camp, unless it was like every day, oh my God, he's the worst quarterback ever. He can't complete a pass. He's throwing 5 interceptions a day. But even then, like, to me, this is not the time to panic. The time to panic is if he's kind of iffy 4, 5, 6 games into the season. Then you can panic. Right now, neutral, I'll take neutral. I'll take neutral from a guy that is not a finished product, and you shouldn't expect, like, for him to have come in training camp
and
been the perfect quarterback. But people in this town, that's what they expect, and that's what you're hearing.
Yeah. For me, it means absolutely nothing. Like, I understand that Jalen Hurts, has, a history of inconsistent play at training camp. But I think we, at this point, just need to give the guy a freaking break. Like, I expect ups and downs from Jalen Hurts. I think everyone should expect ups and downs. This isn't Tom Brady. He's not. He's a top 15, 16 quarterback in the league right now. It's completely normal for offenses to kind of be a little bit behind defenses during the dog days of training camp. And I think people just need to get real, at least on my timeline. I think training camp is tough for guys like Jalen Hurts too, man. Like, this is a guy whose, truly best attribute is, avoiding contact, making guys miss, making plays with his legs. That's like a tough thing to do in training camp. So I'm good. I'm not stressed out at all about
it. And you were talking about the defense being a little bit ahead. The defense is also supposed to be pretty good. So maybe there's a positive to take out of that, but
maybe
we'll see.
All right. Next up, let's move on to our next highlight here. AJ Brown has been reportedly getting the best of Darius Slay in training camp so far. My question to you, Rob, is how good do you think AJ Brown could be in this offense? Does he remind you of Terrell Owens just a little bit?
Yeah, he really does. I mean, you're talking about a big, freak, athletic guy who's got some speed, can break a tackle. It does remind me of that feel, right? Like where you got a guy in the prime of his career who has been an all-pro wide receiver, and he's now a Philadelphia Eagle. And it's like the only difference you have is when T.O. came here, training camp was at Lehigh. So everybody showed up. So like the crowds, and the Eagles were also a little bit further along on that prime to win now mode. But look, I think this guy could be a top 10 receiver this year. I really do, because he's got protection from the other wide receiver spots. He's got Devontae Smith on the other side. He's got Quez Watkins, who's one of the faster receivers in the league, who can take safety help. So I think the sky could be the limit for him. But, we've talked about that goes to Jalen Hurts as well. But I think this is good. I think him going against Slay, you got two guys that are competitive. I think nothing bad comes from this. I think both guys are going to learn to get a little bit better in this situation. And listen, I'm so excited. I actually sent my Carson Wentz jersey away and got a new nameplate. I spent like $60 and got a new nameplate of Brown put over top of it. Like,
Get it out.
yeah, and I tell you what, it looks great. But I would not do that just to do it. Like that's how excited I am for a true bona fide number one wide receiver to be here.
I'm so psyched, man. I think 1,000 yards is a lock for this guy. We haven't had a guy like him that's going to make plays on the ball consistently, like out physical defensive backs. And don't get, I could be totally wrong about this, but Darius Slay is not exactly the best cornerback against the more tall, bigger, physical, stronger wide receivers. That job will probably go more towards James Bradbury, I think, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So I think it's a win-win. I think it's excellent. That's an amazing battle going down at training camp. So I love the news that AJ Brown, for the, Jalen Hurts has been up and down, but for the ups, there has been some success there between Hurts and AJ Brown, which all eyes are going to be on that dude. Let's roll on to our next point. Quez freaking Watkins has had a really strong camp so far, especially when he's lined up in the slot. What's your take on Quez Watkins and what we've learned?
Well, if you take him at his word, he told the media he's the fastest man in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, that's cool. Now, I mean, look, my take on him is very similar to what I said about Jalen Hurts. That's great, but I'm not going to get too high or too low. Beating Avonte Maddox in practice. Look, I think Quez Watkins is an excellent third wide receiver. I think he showed you flashes last year of what he can be. When they drafted him, I remember reading that he was a guy that people thought could have went higher than where he went with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And now, once again, he's got more protection around him. Right now, he's got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith protecting him. So he's going to leave him in some one-on-one battles with a slot corner or a safety where he's going to be able to show his speed a little bit and see if he can get behind these guys. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much of a possession receiver Quez Watkins is, but I know he's the type of guy to blow the roof off the defense. And, last year when the Eagles drafted the way they did, we all said they wanted speed. Well, he's your guy. That's your guy now for that. And, it's good to see that he's having a good camp. Don't get me wrong. But I'm also not going to sit here and say, oh, my God, he's going to be an all-pro, Pro Bowl wide receiver at this point. But very happy to see it. Any way to keep Jalen Reagor off my offensive field makes me happy.
I'm a little higher on Quez, I think. I think this dude is poised for a breakout season, man. I think this guy proved time and time again that he can compete against the league's top corners. And I think he's going to dominate in the slot this year. I think, when you look back at some of the biggest moments of 2021, Quez's name comes up in a lot of those moments. I think he was an underrated playmaker for this Eagles team that a lot of people don't talk about. And for me, I get that Zach Pascal is Nick Sirianni's boy, but I think you can lock in Quez Watkins as my wide receiver 3. And I think he should get every single opportunity to kind of take his game to the next level, his development to the next level. I'm all in on Quez Watkins. I think he's going to be that safety blanket for Jalen Hurts a little bit too.
Absolutely. And you know what? He's taking advantage of time with Zach Pascal, unfortunately missing time with an illness. He's had a really bad case of food poisoning and hasn't really gotten going with practices yet. But listen, if Zach Pascal's your fourth wide receiver, if you remember way back when they signed him and that was the only thing they did, we all said, if that's your fourth wide receiver, great. Well, if Zach Pascal's your fourth wide receiver, that's a good issue. That's a good thing to have. So I'm all in for Quez being number 3.
I love it. Let's roll on to the next news so far. And that is Jalen Reagor, according to Nick Sirianni, has said Jalen Reagor is battling for a spot on this roster. Rob, is Jalen Reagor a lock to make the 2022 roster?
Okay. Uh, my personal feeling is I wish he wasn't.
Yeah.
I do think he ends up making the roster as a fifth or sixth wide receiver because of who the Eagles are. And look, I know Howie had a great offseason, but he also doesn't like to admit second round picks were, or first or second round picks were bust too quickly. So I think because of that, he's on this roster. But I'm telling you, it's like you hear certain things that he's doing out there in the field and go, and then you see the dumbass get back on Twitter. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that was not right. On Twitter today and go after a reporter for reporting what they're seeing. That like you've got to stop. Like you've got all right, rookie year, okay. Second year was a frustrating year. Dude, you're a third-year guy now. You're a veteran in this league, and you've been raised in the Twitter era. This isn't something new for you.
Yeah.
Like this is reality. This is what it is. And if you can't accept that, you're gonna have a hard time succeeding anywhere, but you definitely will not succeed in Philadelphia. So I mean, look, personally, I wish they would just, cut the cord and just get rid of the guy. But I don't think that Howie will do it because that will admit an epic failure on his part, and he's not going to do that.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere, Rob. Like he's a fourth-year rookie on a fourth year. Oh my God, he's on a 4-year rookie contract.
Yeah,
fully guaranteed, man. 1.8 million due this year, 2.4 million due next year. Sorry, Rob. Whether you like it or not, Jalen Reagor's going to make this team unless a trade comes up. But his value is so low. It's not happening.
I would trade him for a bag of Tom Brady's deflated footballs.
Yeah, he's going to make the roster. Let's go to an interesting one. Miles Sanders has looked explosive, but he's also been running snaps with the second unit. It's important here that Miles Sanders had 67 carries in last year's training camp and 0 with the second team. What's the take on this one, Rob?
I think the take is, kind of twofold. One, I think it's a running back by committee. I think they elected to go that route last year, and I think they stick with that route. I will continue to say that I don't believe that running back room is set yet. I still would not be surprised if they bring in a little bit bigger back to go with Kenny Gainwell and Miles Sanders. And kind of just have Boston Scott like this spell here or there. I think it's a running back by committee. And I also do take Nick Sirianni at his word that they're on a 3-play because it's a running back by committee. What they're doing this year is 3 plays rotate, no matter where that puts you, what team that puts you on, that's what they're going to do. Like I said, once again, it is what it is. I have a bigger issue with Miles Sanders' response to it. I have a bigger issue with him attacking the media for telling people. Like, what do they expect? The media to go there and then come back and go to the people that they write for and say, it was a practice, guys. Nothing really happened. That's exactly. Not seriously, you got to stop worrying about the media and Twitter and everything else and just play. He has done nothing but say things this offseason that just were annoying. Oh, I mean, I'm not anybody's fantasy running back. I don't even care. Or, we're a dream or whatever. We're an all-star team. And dude, just go play football. You're in a contract here. We know you got, you want to earn your money, whether it's here or elsewhere. Stop worrying about all the little crap and just go play. Just go play.
And to be fair, Miles Sanders has looked good running the ball. Yes. But I don't think anybody questions Miles Sanders and his ability to kind of move the chains on the ground. And truthfully, the stats back that went up 100%, Rob. How about this one? Since 2019, Miles Sanders' 5.1 yards per carry average ranks 3rd best in pro football.
He's explosive.
That's pretty damn good. I still think he's running back 1 on this team, Rob, but I can't get over the fact that A, I'm worried that he can't stay healthy. B, he's not developed as a receiver, which we know Nick Sirianni wants in his backfield. And then C, it seems like every time the Eagles want to feature this guy, he always just gets hurt.
Yeah.
Like if you look at all the games when they're ramping up his touches, he just gets hurt. This is a huge bounce back year for Miles Sanders, but I'm still very concerned that Sanders won't be on the roster in 2023, and that's it. And I think that's going to absolutely impact his touches this season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, let's roll on to something we've already kind of touched on, but as we go into the top news for the Eagles defense, let's lead off with this one. So far, it's been reported that the defense is a step ahead of the Eagles offense, man. What is your take? Because a lot of people projected the Eagles offense to be legit top 5, top 10 in the NFL. Do you have any concerns about that whatsoever?
No, because I expect the Eagles defense to be top 10 this year. I mean, I really do. When you look at the playmakers that they've added to this defense, and Hassan Reddick and Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean and Kaiser White and James Bradbury, they've added guys. They get Brandon Graham back. They're now into a system that we're being told is what Jonathan Gannon wants to run. This team is supposed to be a group that should be top 10 potential. And like you said, on top of that, the defense always seems to have a little bit more of an upper hand at the early days of training camp. But, hey, that's an okay thing for me, because to me, the defense should be top 10. The offense should be top 10. If this team wants to get to where we hope they get to this year, they both need to be playing that well. So if the defense has a step up right now, I'm all for it, to be honest with you, because it's Philadelphia, right? And I'd rather, have a good offense and a tremendous defense. Like that's who I am. That's what I love to see. But I think both can still be really, really good this year.
Allow me to kind of go into left field a little bit, because the more I read about this defense, and I agree, I'm really high on it. I think it's going to be a strong part of this Eagles team. I want to talk a little bit about defensive back coach Denard Wilson, man. This guy kind of intrigues me a little bit. I'm kind of been learning about this guy. He was promoted back in July, and now he's got the tag of defensive passing game coordinator added to his resume with the Eagles. I think it's pretty interesting that Jonathan Gannon was also a former scout and defensive backs coach himself. There seems to be a connection there between Gannon and Wilson. This is going to be Wilson's 8th season as defensive backs coach. He's been groomed under guys like Todd Bowles. I think it's really interesting that the Eagles have two kind of leaders on that defensive side of the football that are probably looking at pretty heavy promotions in 2023. Gannon is on his way to a head coaching job, and it looks like Denard Wilson is probably the next shoe-in for a defensive coordinator position, whether that's with the Eagles or not.
Right, and if I'm the Eagles, and if, say, Gannon has a great year and gets a head coaching job, I don't let Denard Wilson leave the building. I try and move him into that role. Yeah. I think that, that's exactly what I think you got to do there if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And hey, look, once again, that's a good problem to have, because that means the team really played well on that side of the ball. And I agree. That's one of those promotions that kind of, no one's going to really talk about it. But, the guy's moving up the ranks. He's learned under some of the best minds, so hopefully, you see that kind of a little bit more light to this defense.
I'm definitely going to have a close eye on Denard Wilson for sure this season. Definitely someone to look out for. Let's talk about James Bradbury. Apparently, he's been having a very good training camp so far. It was only just a month or two ago when we were killing this Eagles defense, especially at cornerback. But James Bradbury is having a very strong camp. What's your take, Rob?
My take is I love it. I love that. I feel like we're going into a year with 2 solidified starting corners. I feel like it's been a long time that was the case. Even in the Super Bowl year, you had Ronald Darby and you were excited about that. But if you remember, he got hurt early in that year and then had to come back and was never really himself. I mean, I think you're talking about Darius Slay and James Bradbury. It brings a lot of excitement. It kind of reminds me of, the years when you'd go in with Sheldon and Alito or Bobby and Troy. And I'm not saying that they're those guys at this point, but, it's just that sort of feel around the 2 corners. It's not like Kerry Williams and Corey Fletcher or whatever the hell it was.
God.
You know what I mean? There's a much better feel about it, and I like to see it. I'd like to see that Bradbury, a little change of scenery, probably helps him out. And if you look around this locker room, this team has a lot of camaraderie, and I think new guys are coming in and feeling that right away. It's very, very infectious, it seems like, in this locker room. It starts with the head coach and makes its way down to the players.
This is a likable team, right? Like,
yeah, very, very.
Like,
and I'm telling you, it to me, as crazy as it sounds, because where we were at this time last year, Nick Sirianni is the major part of that. Like, he's a likable guy. Like, everyone thought that Ra was a gimmick. No, that's who the hell he is. Like, he is that guy. He is a guy that's going to say some weird shit that we're going to go, what the hell is he talking about? But it's a team like you looked at the one video where the one guy's doing a tackling drill and he just comes behind him and tackles him onto the pads. Like, he has built a fun-loving culture, but at the same time, you've seen it in him on the sidelines. He'll get fiery and he'll get in the ass of a player if he has to. So there's a good balance there, and I think it's just when you talk about the leadership on this team and guys like Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, who are fun-loving guys but can also be serious, it's all just kind of meshing well together right now.
Yeah. Going back to Bradbury, I just cannot wait to see this guy get on the field. Like, obviously we're Eagles fans. Like, we have been starving for another outside corner opposite Darius Slay. And I think Bradbury and Slay have potential to be unbelievable zone coverage corners for this Eagles defense, man. You look at Bradbury last year, he was the 9th highest graded cornerback in zone coverage last year. He's got really good size at 6'1". He's got the ability to play press coverage against bigger receivers. Mm-hmm. I just think this guy completely changes the equation for the Eagles defense in such a big way. And we'll also be talking about that in a little bit. But I think that combination of Slay and Bradbury on the outside is going to allow Jonathan Gannon to do so much more for his pass rush, just like Jordan Davis does opening lanes for other guys. I think the fact that now you can kind of do more disguises and stunts and different things along that front seven, that you have, dependable guys on the outside against the better receivers downfield. So it's just so big for this defense to have a guy like James Bradbury. So I'm very, very excited. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go to this one. We touched on this guy last week, and there's been a lot of positivity about Marcus Epps so far playing safety. How much Marcus Epps stock are you buying in 2022?
Not a lot yet.
Okay.
Just from the stand. Look, once again, if this guy grabs a hold of this job, and I read a big article on him today, if he grabs a hold of the job, great. If he plays well, but I got to see it. Very much like we said with Jalen Hurts, I got to see it on Sundays. I got to see it in between the trenches when the games count, because I know that he's not up to speed yet. But when you look at a guy like Tart, you've seen him do this on Sundays multiple years out in San Francisco on a pretty good defense. So, I need Marcus Epps to show me on Sundays. I'm not like a Marcus Epps hater. Like, listen, if he goes out there and he balls out, hey, more power to you. I'm all about it. I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm ready to buy all this stock because he's having a good camp. I think that bodes well. I think competition is good. I don't think there's anything wrong that if Epps is playing well and Tart starts to pick up and he plays well, once again, a lot of 3 safeties being played in the NFL anymore. So it's a good problem to have 3 guys that can play.
Absolutely. You look at Marcus Epps, he played 45% of the Eagles snaps last year. He has played 30 games with 8 starts. He's going to be getting much more playing time in 2022. He was PFF's 18th best safety last year. So, yeah, I mean, for better or worse, Marcus Epps is going to be probably the best Eagles safety on this roster. And we talked about it last week. Like, is more Marcus Epps a good thing or a bad thing? I think the hope is that everything else around it is so much improved that you can live with it. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's the thing we saw the last several years. Like the linebacking core was so bad, it just got picked apart by the better quarterbacks in the league. Like when you have safeties playing up in the box, good quarterbacks are going to be able to pick apart Marcus Epps and the Kayvon Wallaces, and especially with tight ends and slot receivers and things like that. So that's the concern. But we
like you said, if you're able, if your linebackers are better and you're getting pressure up front in the middle, it could change a lot of things for you. So,
all right, TJ Edwards has been turning heads in a good way at training camp, most notably in coverage. What is your take?
My take is, for the first time ever, we have a battle at the linebacker position. I feel like
that's true.
Good linebackers, right? Because I think I heard Jonathan Gannon say, that Nakobe Dean is battling or Sirianni, that Dean's battling for a starting position, and he's seen a lot of time with the ones. I'm hearing Kaiser White is having a good camp. TJ Edwards is having a good. I mean, I don't really know what to think. Like, even in the heyday, they would have like Jeremiah Trotter, and that was it. And like, I mean, there's like 3 or 4 good linebackers on the team, and it feels like Christmas. It feels like Christmas. The depth is incredible, and it's something to be excited about. So if TJ Edwards is playing well, that's great. And it's like, we're not even mentioning guys that kind of Davion Taylor shined a little bit last year, but he's a back. Right now he's a substitute, and that's okay. That's a good issue to have. So I'm all for it, man. I'm all for good linebacker play. It has been so long, and I've been jealous of the league. When you look around and you see some of the linebackers, I really, really hope this comes to fruition here.
Yeah. Mike J says linebackers have the best depth in my lifetime. Don't think we've ever been this blessed, man. Mike, amen, man. I think TJ Edwards improving in coverage is really interesting. I think we all know that TJ Edwards is really good against the run. He's a guy that can play sideline to sideline. He can. He does a really good job keeping his eyes on the running back, and he's a really good tackler. He's a very, very good tackler. The knocks on TJ Edwards is his ability in coverage, his over aggressiveness. He gets blown up on misdirections and play actions and different things like that. And I think this is why we're so excited for a guy like Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean is a guy who's a smooth mover. He can play in open space. He can redirect with ease. Nakobe Dean has all the tools in the world to be excellent. That hybrid modern NFL linebacker that can play in man coverage. And I think regardless, this is a very good development for the Eagles defense this year. So if TJ Edwards can take that next step in his growth, especially in coverage, it's all gravy, baby. I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little linebacker competition here.
Absolutely. What's that?
Yeah, seriously.
All right, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about Andre Chachere, who has kind of turned some heads as well. He's made some plays against Jalen Hurts. He's been getting first team snaps on defense. Should he get a chance over Kayvon Wallace on this roster?
Look, I had so much hope for Kayvon Wallace, and I think just because I was hoping for a little more Clemson safety magic. But if Kayvon Wallace is not playing well enough, and this kid is, it's not like Kayvon Wallace has done enough for me to sit here and go, no, you got to give him a chance. No, like, give it to, how did you say his last name? I'm not even going to try.
Chachere.
Chachere?
Chachere.
Chachere. Okay. I mean, I'm going to have to learn how to say it if he's going to make the team. That's the only issue I have with it. Kayvon Wallace is easier to say, but Chachere, whatever, I don't care. If he's good enough to make the team and play, so be it, man. Like, sorry, Kayvon. Like, I was hoping, but hey, I'll move on from it.
Yeah, I buy it. Hell yeah. And I have no problem admitting this, Rob, but I honestly didn't even recognize his name on the Eagles roster last year.
He came on late in the year, right? I don't think he was here all year, was he?
Well, up until that last game against Dallas, the dude was leading the Eagles in special team snaps in 15 games. Like, are you kidding me? And I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like I have no idea who Andre
Well,
Shashore was.
if that's the case, if he's a backup safety and a special teams player, yeah, I mean, he should be the roster. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was their leading snaps guy on special teams, on punts, and then he just fell off a cliff, and he was a healthy scratch for Josiah Scott, I think, during the playoff game against Tampa Bay. He was a free agent. I have no memory of him coming back to the Eagles, but you look at so far in camp, the dude has back-to-back interceptions, back-to-back practices with interceptions. So I don't see any reason why he shouldn't get a chance over Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace doesn't show me anything, so I'm good.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Last but not least, Jason Kelsey has taken Jordan Davis under his wing, and Jordan Davis was seen dominating one-on-ones today at training camp. What's your reaction to Jordan Davis so far?
Well, I mean, they said that he's about in that weight range they wanted him, right? I think 330, 340. I think I heard he was right around there. Look, whatever this kid can give you this year, and I'm not asking him to come out and be a Pro Bowler, but if he can give you a legitimate amount of snaps, whether it be the one technique, the three, whatever, it's a benefit to you because it's just boosting an already strong part of your team in that defensive line. And it's on the interior. And I don't know if it was Kaiser White was being interviewed today and they were asking him and he went, I've never played behind a guy like that. He goes, it is super exciting to watch him just plug it up. Like these linebackers should be able to feast because of a guy like Jordan Davis and should be able to attack gaps in a way that we've wanted but haven't seen. That, he may not be the biggest stat pattern in the world, and people are going to have to understand that. Like from the defensive tackle position, it's not always about the stats. I know he's got to get better with pass rushing and all that, but if he can plug up holes to the point where your second line of defense can come down and just start thrashing and taking these ball carriers out, he's doing everything you could ask of him. So, I mean, it's exciting to hear that he's having a good camp. He's a guy that I'm looking forward to watching a little bit in the preseason when he gets some time out there. I'm sure he's not going to be a guy that's playing late into those preseason games. But listen, I wanted Kyle Hamilton. We all wanted Kyle Hamilton. But if this guy can be that kind of road grader for the second level of the defense, so be it, man. I'm all in.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. I don't need to explain why I'm so high on Jordan Davis. We've talked about it ad nauseum here on the show, but I fully agree 100%. Like Jordan Davis is not a stat guy. He's a guy that's just going to make the defense better. He's a guy that's going to eat up blockers and free up Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham has had honestly a very good camp so far, but somewhat related, Rob, to Jordan Davis is I've been hearing a lot that second round pick rookie Cam Jurgens has been really kind of holding his own against Jordan Davis. You look at, Jurgens, he's got a really nice combination of speed, quickness, agility. I'm pretty sure he's never played guard. I could be wrong about that. But if Jurgens can hold his own against a guy like Jordan Davis, man, feeling good about this draft right now. Like I'm getting excited, Rob.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you: where are they running? Are they running Jurgens as just like the second string center, or are they giving him guard snaps?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know. I think it was during one-on-one.
I said, someone had brought it up when they drafted him that they could try and play him at guard this year a little bit, if even though he had never did it because he's such a talent and he's an athlete that he probably could be able to do it. That's great to hear. Look, listen. When you look at the top 3 picks of this draft, if next year they're all starting for your team, when was the last Eagles draft? You could say that. Like, it's been a long time. And it was probably there might have been one. But I was going to say the year that they drafted Sheldon, Lito, and Michael.
That's exactly. And who's that? Michael Thomas?
Michael Lewis.
Michael Lewis, yes.
Yeah. That was the one year I'm thinking about. Look, could there have been another one since then where the guys all were starting? Maybe. But that's the one that pops in my mind where it was like, They went all secondary with their first 3 picks.
Amazing. Banger.
And they hit on all of them. I mean, those guys were starters here for a long time. And I would love to see that be the case when it comes to a Jordan Davis, a Cam Jurgens, and the Kobe Dean in the 3rd round, which I'm just hoping that 5 years from now, we're like, we got this son of a bitch in the 3rd round. Like, that's what I'm hoping for.
It's going to be awesome. Gonna be awesome. Mike J says Davion Taylor has been balling too, man. It's good times. Good vibes. Good vibes only right now during training camp. Just hoping,
absolutely,
the Eagles keep improving. The Eagles stay healthy. But there's been some good stuff. Some good stuff so far. That pretty much wraps it up here on this show. Rob, do you have any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I know that there's been a lot of talk around the area about the very little or no hitting that's taking place. And I see what people say. Like, I understand what they mean. Well, this is why guys can't tackle and all this stuff. I don't think that the Eagles just came to this decision. They have spent millions on sports science, and there's got to be something that they're seeing. If you looked last year, they were, knock on wood, they were a healthy team last year. Look, would I like to see them hit a little bit more? Yeah. But, when it comes to the fundamentals of tackling, if you don't know the fundamentals by the time you reach the NFL, that's a problem. I think. And look, the way the new NFL, because it's not just the Eagles, this is all over the league. The way the new NFL is they're barely going to play in the preseason. And in September, you're just going to get some sloppy football as these guys get their legs under them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's good or bad for the game. I don't really care. I just love football. So, it's not going to matter as much to me. I'll be the first one screaming if a guy, misses a tackle. Don't get me wrong. But, I don't think we should be hyping on it too much as a fan base in a negative sense. Let them do what they need to do. It helped. If you think about last year down the stretch, they're playing all these teams who are coming in banged up, and they weren't. And that was a major help to them. So, I don't know. Maybe there's something to it.
Yep. My final thought is, oh, my God, next week, right? It starts next week.
You got the Hall of Fame game in 4 days. You get football on the TV in 4 days.
Unbelievable. So it is right around the corner. We'll be covering it all here on Party on Broad. Anything you want to plug, Rob?
Well, I just want to say, Chris, last time I was on with you last week, we kind of just touched on the Phillies on the way out, and now they've won 6 of 7. Are you still a hater?
Why am I a hater? Why can't I just say? You look at the last several years. I just want them to prove it. I want them to show me.
What I think with them, I'm very pleased with their pitching. Really, I mean, it's really helped them. It's not like they were scoring a lot of runs until the last game of that series. So good for the starting pitchers. Good for Aaron Nola getting back to it.
I'm just cautious.
You gotta be. You have to be. It's been 11 years. I'm breaking your balls because I'm happy. I've watched more Phillies over the last couple weeks than I have over the last few years. But I'm at the same time going, are they really not going to make any moves at this trade deadline? Are we really going to sit here and just hope that Bryce Harper's back in 3 weeks? So we'll see.
The schedule looks nice. Looks nice.
It does.
We'll see, Rob.
Big series starting tomorrow. Big series.
I've seen way too many September, October Phillies baseball games the last 5+ years to know what's coming. But we'll see. It's a different year. Different year. Nice to see Bohm and Castellanos start getting going.
Yeah, 4 hits for him yesterday.
That's huge. Huge. Yeah. That's what they need.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. June was Schwarber, July was Bohm. Maybe is the Castellano month.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe this could be the Castellano. And he's the type of guy who it could be, right? He could just kind of find his way there. But yes, you catch me talking about them and the Eagles, Philly _madness, and then you'll catch me here as we tick down the days till the beginning of our favorite time of year.
Yep. So expect a ton of previews, reviews of all the Philadelphia Eagles coming up in the very near future. If you love the NFL draft, I did draft videos on the cornerbacks, the the safeties, the edge rushers, and the quarterbacks. And it is, just like last year, I think it's a draft that's setting up nicely for the Eagles' positions of need, which is really great. That's going to be a really, really good draft. It's the exact opposite of last year. Whereas, I didn't like any of the quarterbacks in last year's draft. I didn't have a single first-round grade on any of them. This year, I think there's at least 4 that are franchise bona fide banger picks. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Tanner McKee, Anthony Rudolph, KJ Jefferson. I'm sure Tyler Van Dyke. It is a stacked quarterback class that, Rob, you make sure you're following those guys when college football starts because they're really talented.
We got a few weeks left for that, too. I'm excited, man. I'm excited just to get football back on the TV.
Yeah.
It's the best part of August because you're just about there. Just about there.
All right, guys. That pretty much wraps it up. Give this video a like if you love the Philadelphia Eagles. We will see you in the near future. Follow my man Rob on Twitter at Philly_Menace. I am Dives, Mr. Crackpot. For Rob, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.